Even not just movies, but even in real life, when you become friends with a person, people see you hanging out with this person.
People start romanticizing your relationship. People
It becomes a thing.
Yeah.
They must be dating. And you can't convince people otherwise. It's a narrative that we create.
And the more you hear it, unfortunately, it's like planting a seed. And this thing is like, the more you hear it,
the more you start thinking, am I missing something? Maybe it could be a thing. Like you guys did it to me. I used to
Welcome back to the Safe Lounge. I'm Yesha Marilyn.
Welcome back, guys, and I'm Caroline. Welcome back.
So today we're going to be talking about something very interesting. We're going to be talking about male and female friendships. And I remember in our last episode, we had mentioned that we have a lot to say about this. And this is the episode where the lot is going to be said.
The Lord shall be said. Because for me, this thing is
she started on a high. Okay.
This thing is personal and it's dear to my heart.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because it has affected me several times.
It has. But then again, okay, let's first start by just defining what a platonic friendship is. Because I think that's why most people are affected by these type of friendships, because maybe there's no clear definition of what is supposed to be involved in such a relationship.
Well,
how would
let's
you
just look at friendship, right? Just friendship in general. Friendship involves reciprocity, right? It's not just one person putting in effort towards a friendship. It's both of you putting in resources, whether it's emotional, whether it's physical or whatever, towards the relationship, right?
Yeah.
It involves, what else? Openness. You spoke about it last week.
Yes. There has to be a mutual understanding of what's the purpose of the friendship. Like, what are you doing? It has to be defined.
Yeah. Okay.
Like, you have to get to a point where you realize, especially when it comes to male and female friendships, right? You have to actually define what it is that you're doing. Like, are you really going to be just friends and stay in the friend zone thing? Or there's room for... But then that's when it's open and there's no clear definition of what it is. And I think that's where the problems start from. Okay. Where you don't know that the goal is just friendship.
We're going to delve more into that, right? But basically, in any friendship, it has to be that people are open towards each other, right? And I don't think, like, in most friendships, right, same gender friendships, you don't sit down and have that conversation that, where is this friendship going? You kind of leave it to chance for a friendship to develop, usually.
Yeah, but that's normally when it's same gender friendships. Because I think that's where the problem starts from.
That's a challenge, though, that... Okay, I suppose now we're just really getting into it.
Let's just get into it.
Because, okay, in social psychology, right, they say there's a script. We have a script for, like, a cultural script for romantic relationships.
Okay.
You know how a male is supposed to act, like in a male-female relationship, romantic relationship.
Yeah.
You know how a male is supposed to act in that relationship. You know how a female is supposed to act in that relationship. And you understand that it's a relationship that involves certain things and it's leading somewhere, usually. Okay. Right? But when it comes to friendships, male, female, cross-gender friendships, there is no script, like social script for it. like even like when you talk of friendship, just normal friendship, there really is no social script for it.
And
People
it
just do it
works.
naturally.
No, it works in that context. Remember last week I was saying that I would even feel some type of way if someone was going to say, like, I want to be your friend, right? Like trying to come up with a script for
Yeah.
it. That would be weird. But once it involves the opposite sex, I think, and I haven't done this, by the way. It's not like
You
it's
haven't
something
done
that
what?
like I
You have
haven't.
not been friends with a guy.
No, no. I mean, like having a script when it comes to male and female friendships.
No, but when we
then
say
I've-
a script, right, it's not something that's written down
but
like
then it's in
between
your
parties.
head, like you know
It's
what's
like-
expected from you as the female parts.
It's like in social psychology, it's almost like it's a standard that's there, that's never verbalized, but we all know that
That's
this
what I
is
mean,
supposed
like,
to be done.
I've never really thought of it, but then now that you mentioned it, I actually think it's necessary, even in male female friendships, regardless of whether you are planning on being in a romantic relationship. Like by virtue of just being friends, I think that psychological script should be there.
But wait, how do you even, because we don't think of these scripts, right? We don't come up with them. We come into life and they're already there.
Exactly.
Right?
And because they're already there, you know, like, let's not be ignorant of the fact that you know what you can do as a woman. For example, as a woman, you know what you can do to a man.
Right.
You know, like,
What do you mean? What
like you
can do
know the
to a
power
man?
that you know, like, okay, you know the power that you possess. Oh my God, this is PG.
You know, you have
But
to
then-
make things clear.
Like, yeah, but yeah, like, you know that as a girl, right? I know that as a woman, there are certain things that even if I do in front of a guy, he's bound to feel a certain way.
Okay.
Or it's bound to make him see me in a different light. So if I want this guy to stay as my friend, like, for example, prolonged eye contact with your male friend, what business do you have doing that? That's what I mean. Like, I think the problem that we end up facing in these friendships is because we get into it with no script. The script is there because we already know how you're supposed to act as a lady when you're around guys, right? But then when we're getting into a friendship and we're like no strings attached, we kind of put the
a
script
thing
aside.
as no strings attached? I guess is the question, right? Is there a thing as no strings attached?
That's a difficult
when it comes
one.
to male-female friendships.
I don't know, like what we were talking about, but then you were explaining that, like for guys, they have what they are expecting in friendship or in relationships, and for women, we are expecting the emotional side of things.
Yeah,
Maybe if you can explain that.
There is. As we were preparing for this episode, right? I was reading through several research and papers on it. So what they were saying is there are certain challenges that come with male-female friendships.
Okay.
Which is the one that we spoke about, right? That
The way you
that
you
roles
presented it.
roles
Yeah,
are there for romantic relationships, but there are no specific roles or there's no script for male-female friendships. So naturally, people tend to go to the default, like who's going to open doors when it's the two of you. You're not dating, but it's a male-female
But
friendship.
are you expecting your male friend to open the door for you?
Yeah, I'm not going
But
to
then
be
that
open.
strings attaching.
No, that's not strings attached.
They are now being attached because I think strings get attached when someone fills a void that your significant other is supposed to fill. You get it? Like with my
Not
friendship with no, like
necessarily.
honestly, with my friendship with you, right? Female friendship or male friendship, right? There is no way I would expect you to open the door for me. Like it's not an expectation. You could do it. I could do it for you. Like I come in and then I open the
But
door.
it's not,
But then
this
it's
is
not
not
an
just,
expectation. But the moment you're in a relationship with a guy, you are expecting him to do it. Like
but this is not even like it's not even like a thing that people do when they're dating. It's just a gentleman thing. It's chivalry. You don't just open doors for your significant
that's the
other.
thing. Okay, let me put it in a guy's
Let's take another context.
yeah, guy's context.
When
Cooking.
people hang out.
Cooking.
Okay.
Look at guys, right?
Okay.
When guys are together, right? They're not like expecting that it's one person who's gonna cook.
Right.
It's like, you do you, I do you, or we have duties or something like that.
Right.
But then if it's now a male and female friendship, and then the female takes up the role of cooking, you get what I'm trying to say? Like you're feeling in a space where someone would have, if he's a traditional guy,
But that
he
goes to
would
the
expect
point.
his partner to do. And the fact that you are doing it as a friend, I think already strings are attached. That's how strings get attached. I think if it's a friendship, right? If it's a friendship, then stick to the friendship script, which is no expectation of your friends to do things that a partner of the opposite sex would do.
But then this is where things get tricky, right? Because
you're saying he's a gentleman regardless.
Yeah.
So he should stay a gentleman. But then
it's like, okay, we're not even friends, but say we are at work, right? I don't expect, just because we are colleagues at work or we are at church, somebody to wrestle with me to get into the elevator just because, we have no relation together.
And that's why I changed the context, right? Like opening doors, maybe it's too, but then there are things like that these male, female besties end up doing
taking.
that are like you end up being on the phone with that person for 2 hours.
Yeah.
For example.
But are you not
You
on
are
the
touching
phone?
strings.
Are you not on the phone with your friends for 2 hours?
But the thing is, like I said, women, we are emotional beings, right? It's my girlfriend. I'm not attracted to girls. So there is no way that I'm going to feel like, like some type of way. But then if it's a guy now, he's listening to me vent. He is there for me emotionally, feeling that emotional void. I mean,
okay, let's establish positions here.
And then it so happens that he is also your type. Let's add that to the mix. Of course, strings are gonna be attached, unless you're saying that these people that we make our friends are not our type, and like
okay, the research paper that some of them that I was reading were saying, right?
This is an interesting topic. Yes,
for most men, according to this paper, okay, for most men, they get into these friendships with the hope that it will become something more, or that there is a sex. Now,
so the strings are already like.
I mean,
they're already attached.
It's just statistics. Like, according to that research, more men got into these friendships because there was some form of romantic attraction, or they were hoping it will change to that.
Okay.
Right?
Okay, I get it.
So when it's like that, they are there as a friend, but they're hoping for something more. And, we're having this conversation with a friend of mine who happens to be a guy yesterday, right? Yeah. And then he shows me a clip of Steve Harvey. Have you seen those clips where it's like there's nothing like that?
Because they like, for me, and that's the same
Wait,
sentiment that I share, right?
let
Okay,
me
yes, finish.
explain. Let me explain the guys. We have a problem here.
Yes.
The clips is basically he'll be saying when guys become friends with a girl, it's usually the girl who puts the guy in that
In the
zone.
friends.
Yeah, because either the guy is not meeting a certain qualification,
Yeah.
or you just they feel a certain need, but you don't want to ruin the friendship or whatever, to take it to the next level. But as long as he remains there, the moment a crack opens, he will take it.
Exactly. And I think that's the thing. Like, I'm not against male female friendships, but I think that that's what I meant by, like, you should get in knowing the script. You should get in expecting that.
So basically, are you saying that people should have conversations to ask each other and define what this thing is?
Yes, and you can see it. The thing is, with
No,
these
that's the
friendships,
thing, though.
you can see it when
That-
it's getting
that-
like,
that
okay,
is the thing,
now
though.
I think one of us is catching feelings, yeah? And I think it's at that stage that you should have a sit down, because this person is already your friend, so it's even easier.
Can I tell you something else that was in that paper?
Yeah?
It was a meta-analysis. They were saying, according to the various studies that had been done, you remember we spoke about equality in friendship that makes up friendship, about openness.
Yeah.
That in these relationships, usually people do not define things. So it's left up to people doing certain things and someone reading off what this one is trying to do. Like, it's not defined. They're never really, but there rarely is a discussion to define what this thing is.
Yeah.
And so when somebody does something, this one thinks maybe this one got it, or this one can misinterpret what this one is doing. And there's also that fear, if we're being realistic.
Oh, yeah, the
that
fear. I
you
think the
don't
fear
want
is
to
the
have the
bigger one.
conversation because you don't want to ruin the friendship.
Yeah.
You don't want awkwardness in the friendship.
Yeah.
But I think it's a paradox because you're avoiding the thing that you're actually doing.
Yes, and like I had said last week as well, I had said I'm more interested on the how it affects your mental health, right? And for me, the reason why I seem like I am against such friendships, it's because I've seen the impact that it will have on you when then these things are not defined, you never talk about it. And then you end up having, because that's not like a friendship heartbreak or a friendship breakup, but you had never really discussed it.
But why is it breaking up though?
It's a friendship heartbreak because you don't even break up. But then let's say one of you caught feelings and then
the other party gets involved with someone
else. Already you are heartbroken and you never.
But it's
really,
like a minor heartbreak, right?
No, some are really painful. Like some are really like can't you see me? Like I'm right here. Like I've been. Like,
am I just good enough as a friend? But you can't really be like that if you've never said it out.
But that's the thing. The heart wants what it wants.
And I knew you were going there.
Yes. But it's the truth. Because you can't stop yourself from feeling some type of way just because I never spoke about it. So then I have no right. Like, of course, I'm not going to hate my friend because of that. But then I'm going to be hurting. Like, as in the hurting, the pain part of things. But then it's not like I'm going to start hating you for it. But as my guy friend, and the thing is, in most cases you notice that I've hurt this person.
Sometimes you don't. And I think also, okay, this then goes back to, I think, something that we haven't touched on yet, that there is a cultural narrative. Like, if you look at I don't know how many movies I've watched
Yeah.
where people start off as friends, but there's always a romantic something attached to it, or they end up as, they end up together like that. And even not just movies, but even in real life,
Yeah.
when you become friends with a person, people see you hanging out with this person.
People start romanticizing your relationship. People ship you,
It becomes a
basically.
thing.
Yeah.
They must be dating. And
Yeah.
you can't convince people otherwise. It's a
And
narrative
the
that we
more you
create.
hear it, unfortunately, it's like planting a seed.
Yeah.
And this thing is like, the more you hear it,
The
when
more
people
you
are like,
start,
"Oh, guys
you
look."
start thinking, am I missing something? Maybe it could be a thing. Like you guys did it to me. You start thinking, okay, I just pointed a finger, but you start thinking.
Okay. Yes.
You start thinking,
No, but then,
am I missing something? And then you start.
but do you
it start-
blame us though? Like in
But do
every
you see
situation,
how you are fitting into culture?
I am fitting into culture, but
Yeah,
I'm stating
because you
also
see
the
people
obvious,
together, they get along, they're just friends.
They are both
they
single
say we're
and-
just friends,
and they're both single.
and then you then say they're dating. Oh, you guys like each other like that?
Yeah, like because we can see. The thing is, people can see what you can't see, right?
That is the thing that we're saying, right? If it was a friendship between girls, you wouldn't say that. But because it's between a guy and a girl, because the script that we have from the moment that we are young, we just think people, male and females, are together romantically.
Mom and
We are
dad.
not taught.
Even when we were playing, how do you call that in English?
House.
though? Yeah,
Playing
even when we were
house.
playing house, like with your guy friends, right?
Yeah.
It's that.
Yeah.
It's mom and dad. So that's what I mean exactly. So when people I think it's more important when you have this type of friendship, right? To do even quarterly. Okay, maybe not quarterly, but then like regular.
The accountant in her is coming out.
Yeah, regular checkups or regular meetings to discuss about where you are, and like not formal, but then like you should have like these conversations on a regular basis just to see where
But
where you are emotionally.
how would that conversation go?
I've never done this. That's the thing. But then
No, because we have to make it practical. Because in my mind, it's just it's not coming. Shame.
But then at the same time, because what I'm trying to avoid is the pain that comes with it. Like that's what I'm trying to avoid. So I'm trying to think, like right now, if you were to sit down with any of your guy friends, right? I think, all right, the moment you see that, okay, I'm starting to feel some type of way, I think you should
be able to say it.
You should be able to say it.
Yeah.
And it helps.
As difficult as it is, I think it can be. You guys can decide how you want it to be.
Yeah.
It can be uncomfortable, but for the sake of the other who could be feeling some sexual attraction or whatever, it helps if the other person doesn't feel the same way.
If you talk about it
and you establish boundaries. Yeah.
You establish boundaries. And I was telling you about a friend, right? That I think if you are friends, and especially if you have been friends for a long time, even if they are to open up about their feelings for you, there's a way that you can tell them that you're not there or you don't feel that way, and you could still have the friendship afterwards, and it would still be fine.
Yeah, not many people can do that.
I think it actually helps because if in the future, let's say in the future, you are also going to start liking that friend like that, it would be easier even for you to then open up and be like, you know what, that thing, I think I'm there now.
Wow. Yeah, I think that takes a certain level of courage.
But again, I was thinking that, so does that mean that you can be friends with your ex?
Hey, guys, what do you think? I think it's
the same
possible,
thing, right? Like one person likes someone. Once there's someone that likes the other person and the other person is not there, and you stay friends, doesn't that make it okay still for you to be friends with your ex?
I think a lot of people have different feelings on this. I think it's possible when you have fully forgiven the person and when the breakup wasn't too messy.
Okay, yes.
Yeah, like there are times when
Let's
you
say the
break
breakup
up
was, let's
amicably.
say, yeah, it was an amicable breakup. Because I mean, if it wasn't amicable, there's no friendship, right? So let's say the breakup was amicable and everything. Can you be friends with your ex,
I think it's possible.
knowing very well that they loved you, right?
Yeah.
Or knowing very well that you were once in love with them.
Yeah.
So if that's the case, then that means that you can be friends with someone even after they tell you that they love you, and the friendship can still go on.
Theoretically, but do they ever stop? Like, do those feelings go away?
If you can be friends with your ex, trusting that those feelings have gone away, because then why are you just getting yourself in a messy situation if you know that the feelings are still there and then you want to be friends with them?
If any of you got married, would that friendship continue? Knowing that this other person has feelings for me.
It's even the same. Like, would you continue being besties with your male bestie after you get married? That was the next point anyway that we were going to discuss. Would you continue? Do you think that this whole dynamic changes once you get married?
It has to. It has to change. It has to, because the narrative, the social narrative that we have for marriages is that your partner becomes your best friend. And so obviously you can't say my husband is my best friend, then I also have this best friend who I grew up with. Hey, that's
No, but then if you were just
you make
friends,
people feel a certain type of way.
but that's the thing, right? So
No, but
it's going to raise eyebrows once you're married. Doesn't that tell you that it's already raising eyebrows even before you're married?
No, dynamics change. It's not rocket science. Once a person is married, dynamics have to change. You have to give room for the husband. You have to give room. You have to give room for the relationship to change,
so
right?
when you're friends, are
It's
you not
like
dating
even-
other people? Are you
even
not
with-
courting other people when you're friends with this person?
Wait, before we go there, but even with your female friends, they have to give you space for your relationship, for this marriage.
That's why
It's no longer the same. It has to change.
I've said this before.
Yeah.
We are taught that your partner is your best friend, but not your only friend.
That's the
So
that's the
even-
other thing. though.
Even if you get married today, right? Your friends should still be your friends.
They-
It's just that you have chosen this person as your closest friend, but that doesn't mean that all these other people are not close anymore.
But do you realize that the dynamic still changes though?
It changes because you're spending more time with this person because you're staying with them.
Correct. Did you hear what you said? It changes. Before you say because, it changes. That's a fact that does not.
But context, Caroline. The fact that I'm not
It-
staying with
it
my male
changes.
bestie, right?
Yeah.
Should not stop them from being my male bestie if they were just my bestie.
No, it changes because one, you now have this person in your life.
Yeah.
You make room for them. So
By make room,
basically,
explain make room, because make room is
I'm
what's
not going to
explain
spend 2
that
hours on the
these
phone
friendships
with
are
you.
tricky.
I'm not going to spend 2 hours on the phone
Why?
with you anymore.
Why?
Because this person is there. That is
They were
making
already-
room.
But then you don't just wake up married, right?
Exactly. It doesn't change just like that because I said I do today. The moment that relationship changes, even your attention towards that person changes.
But is that okay? Is that proper friendship? In the definition of friendship that we've been talking about when we're talking about same gender friendships,
Remember,
right?
we spoke
And then
about-
now all of a sudden we are now saying that the dynamic has to change, because with my friends, right? With my female friends, up until even my wedding, nothing is changing. I'm still going, even during the wedding preparations, right? I was still venting that this is happening. Like, they're still my close friends. I get married, yes, I might not be on the call with them for 2 hours because now I have someone that when I get home, before I would get home and I would have no one. So then I could get on the phone, either talk to my partner before we got married, right? Before the wedding, or I could call you and we could talk for an hour. But now what's changing is because this person is there already. So I'm going to prioritize them because they're there. But it's not changing. There's no gradual change that's happening. But if it's a male bestie, there is a change that happens. Why does that happen? If it's just a normal friendship and
I still think even with normal friendship it changes. I think there is friendships. There's the same gender friendships, right? And there's the different gender friendships.
Yeah.
Then there's romantic relationships, right? The problem is trying to make this middle one, this different gender relationship, either fit the narrative of this or fit the narrative of this.
Yeah.
But it can't be. It has to fit its own narrative. That's the culture that we are trying to present here. That is it even possible for males and females to become friends, but not to say it has to fit the mold of friendships within the same gender or romantic relationships. Is it possible?
That's why I asked this question, like, would you be open? And guys, please come in the comment section. I really want to know as well. Like, would you go on a vacation with your male or female best friend, depending on your gender, right? Would you go like on a vacation far from home, like overnight? That goes overnight.
See,
even if you're gonna have separate rooms, but just knowing that we are at this resort, we came as friends. I came with my male best friend on this trip.
In our church, there's also a thing called evil appearance.
See, exactly. Like
no, but this is also this is no. We are trying to challenge, right, the social narrative that is already there.
Yeah, exactly.
And so why it would be called evil appearance? Like even if you are seen with a guy on the road, it's just the two of you on the road, it could be regarded as something else because that's a culture we are used to, right? Yeah. But you remember I was telling you a story that actually happened in uni for me, where a guy came to my apartment. He was my friend. Like I had a friend who was a girl. No, she wasn't my roommate. She was my friend. She actually stayed in a different apartment.
Okay. Now that explains.
But she wasn't there. She had gone for vacation. So he came. I would, take him in to get into res. And then he would go to her room to do whatever it is that he was coming to do there. But then he also came to hang out at my apartment, which is normal for university students, right? Yeah. And then we then got into a discussion where I was saying it's possible for a guy and a girl to sleep in the same room and nothing happens. And he was saying it's not possible. So, but because I knew exactly what his mindset is and what he's trying to prove, at a certain time I kicked him out of the house because he has a point to prove.
Like, he had a point.
But with some people who were friends with me, they don't have a point to prove. They are okay with it. It can happen that people can sleep in the same room and wake up and continue like nothing is awkward and nothing is weird.
I'm not disputing that it can happen. And I've seen it happening, right? But then I think it's risky. Can we at least agree that this type of friendships are risky? And there's a very high probability that it might just, like, one day.
No, we're not denying the probability. What we are saying is
there's a dangerous grounds.
No, there is a probability that it can happen, but we cannot disregard the fact that there is also a probability that two people can actually just be friends and nothing can happen.
But is there a level of closeness that they have to end? And beyond that, no, it's too much. That's why I was
Definitely, you
asking,
both
because
need to
if
have
you're
boundaries, and
then-
those boundaries have to be set, like we said.
But if you don't even have boundaries around like going on vacation together, and it's just the two of you.
No, it depends, right? Because we're not going to state what boundaries should be, what a person can and cannot take, right?
Yes.
Those are boundaries within a relationship that you set within that relationship.
I get it. I do. Like, I get you. I get what you mean. But then for someone out there who's starting off, who has a male bestie or who has a female bestie, how can we help them?
Help them to do what?
To be able to protect their hearts, to protect their mental health, such that things don't get messy. Because here, like the point that I'm trying to drive home here is
Let's acknowledge it can get messy.
it can get messy, and it really can mess you up. Like completely.
Okay,
So
I think
how do
before we
that?
get there, right? Because we are just focusing on the negatives. There are positives to having these friendships.
Yes, if we set boundaries. But you're saying if we don't set boundaries in a normal friendship, why are we setting boundaries in a...
No, there are boundaries in every relationship. Definitely.
No, like in terms of closeness. By male and female friendship, I think there needs to be a closeness boundary.
What do you mean by closeness boundary?
Like if we're getting too close, like I can't be telling you certain things, or you can't be there for me emotionally to this extent if we are just friends.
Can you acknowledge that your boundary cannot be my boundary? Can you acknowledge that what gets tricky for you doesn't necessarily get tricky for me?
100%, because
right?
Some of us are just like...
Right. So that's why I'm saying it's very difficult to say to people, these are the kind of, like, we cannot be too close. What defines too close to you might not be the same thing that defines too close for me. Like, I can share, depending on how I feel this person is safe for me, I can share certain things and still not feel like they can be my partner.
No, but it's a given though. Like, I think I was talking to you again about this, that it's easier even to express some of the things that you go through as a female to a male person, and to get a male perspective as well. It's way easier than to talk to your girlfriends. Like, especially, like, for example, it'll be easier for me to tell my male best friend if I was catching feelings for someone.
And they can give you a perspective from a guy's perspective.
Exactly. Than it is to go to my girlfriend and be like, you know what, I think I actually really like this guy. Because then you're thinking from a female perspective, they're thinking from a guy's perspective. So it's more valuable to get that information, right? Which I am for. But then I think there has to be like a certain limit on what you give and what you get in those relationships to avoid crossing the line. And the moment feelings starts developing, you need to have a sit down and talk about it.
You have to be
no matter how uncomfortable it is. I think those are the type of boundaries that I was talking about, like the boundaries that you need to set in these relationships.
Yeah, but you're talking about emotional boundaries.
Yeah, emotional boundaries.
But even physical boundaries. What are the boundaries that we're going to set
in this
relationship?
Yeah, like we never sleep in the same room, for example.
That just it triggered something. It triggered. I'm triggered.
No, but like what you're saying, right? You know your friend already, like that guy who was like, he was already preempting what his views when it comes to being in the same room with the girl.
Just to put things into context, this guy was not my friend.
I knew you were going to say that.
We were not friends.
But then we have friends that we already know, and they've already preempted their views when it comes to that. So those are some of the physical boundaries that you will need to set there.
Yeah, can we hold hands? No. I'm just saying
Why?
this.
Why are
No,
we holding hands?
no, you're not going to be judging people on their relationships, okay? No,
God.
we are just not going to do that. But these are things that people need to discuss and talk about.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah. Like we can tell that this is a hard boundary for you that shall not be crossed. It's not necessarily the same thing for other people.
Okay,
yeah?
okay.
And
okay.
can we not judge them as a safe lounge?
Okay, you can be holding hands, but you have to have discussed if you're both comfortable with holding hands.
Yeah.
If you're both comfortable with
Can I tell you something on that research paper? Actually, they were saying in some of these relationships, people actually have sex and continue to call it a platonic friendship.
woo, I check out. I'm out. Like, I mean,
But
get
though
it.
considering
I get
this
people
was
who do
this
that.
this research was mostly done in the States. So it
So,
could
yeah, of course,
also
there are
have
people-
that
we have
cultural
to-
aspect to it, that for some people, depending on your culture, there are just things that you just don't do, and some may be
That's
more
the whole
comfortable with
friends
other
with
things.
benefits
And
thing, right?
that's a thing though. Can people be friends with the benefits and still be friends?
Yeah, but the moment someone catches feelings, that's it. They're done.
So it's a matter of, say people have sex.
You're
It's
just
a
adding
matter
another
of
layer of messiness.
what does
to
it
that.
mean to. Did you ever watch this movie? I think it's Harry Meets Sally or something. There's also that dynamic, but the guy was saying, let's just have sex to get it over and done with, and then we can continue with our friendship.
No.
Just to get this
no.
awkwardness that's going on, this sexual tension, we deal with it and then we move on. Do you think it's possible?
No, it's not. Oh, you're asking for my viewpoint,
Yeah.
right? Guys, I think that yes, I know that, like my viewpoint. This is my personal viewpoint. I think someone will catch feelings, and that's where my problem comes into play. That once you catch feelings, it's going to affect you mentally. And now the problem is you've already you sent me this. I think it was a quote on Instagram about the fact that it's not easy now letting go of such a person. Because once there's a friendship, right, there's the history, there is what you have built together, there is the memories that you share. You are now not in a position to just let go of them because lines have been crossed. But then it's going to affect you now. Emotionally, it's going to affect you mentally.
It will affect you if it doesn't now become a romantic relationship. If you want to pretend that nothing has happened.
And it's going to cause more damage because you're now torn between, should I just let it go because I can't let go because I actually like them. I love them as my friend, but at the same time, this line has been crossed. And how do you go back? How do you reverse that?
Is it possible to go back even?
I don't know. That's why we're asking, right? No, it's possible because we say that it's okay for people to be friends with their exes, but then you now have to set a clear boundary again, such that that line can never be crossed. That's the tricky part.
Okay, what's tricky about it? This is getting interesting.
Familiarity. You mentioned in the last episode that your body never forgets.
Now when your words are being used against you, this is a problem. No, I meant in the context of trauma.
Even in terms of experiences as well. Like, how come your body is just forgetting? Like, you were once that close with this person, and then now you're taking it.
You crossed physical boundaries.
You cross the
You-
physical boundaries
and
already.
your body remembers.
Imagine.
And every time you go for dinner, your body remembers.
Your body remembers. You're bound to just hold hands, for example. Or when you're hugging the goodbye, it's bound to just go an extra 2 minutes longer because
Lingering.
Exactly. So your body doesn't forget. So we also need to acknowledge this.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think we didn't do any justice to the benefits of having such relationships. And the first one that you mentioned, the one that getting a male perspective on things helps. And I, for one, the male friends that I have had have really helped me when it comes to even navigating my relationships, because they bring in a perspective that you don't see. For example, understanding
And I
men
think,
ego, things like
also
that.
the thing about openness, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you both are open about your relationships to each other, I think it also helps.
It does. It
Yeah.
does. It does. And it is fun. There's this thing, like, because I think male and female friendships are more interesting because you're learning something new.
You're learning something new. And
Imagine, like, you're like, really? Like, guys really think like this? And he's also like, really? This is how girls think? So you're discovering something.
you're learning.
Exactly. So
you're
that's
learning.
what keeps the relationship interesting, but that's what makes it also very fragile.
Or the other thing that we didn't talk about is we were discussing that according to a modern perspective, right? This male female friendship thing is basically a new thing, like it's a modern thing. Why? Because men used to have a higher status in society, and females
That's important, though.
had a lower status. So in some contexts, females were regarded as property, right? So they weren't really at that power level where they could be friends. And then things started changing. Society started changing. People started to go to school. Women started to have careers, creating a kind of leveling for males and females. So now you're at the same position. And so you now have things to talk about. You have interests.
You have similar interests,
You
you
have
have
similar-
similar
yeah.
lifestyle, and there's a lot more to talk about, which is making it easier to now have such friendships, to have such relationships, I guess. Yeah.
For sure. But now I think, so what makes it weird, I guess, to your point that we're talking about in marriage, is these things tend to happen within a certain age range, right? In high school, in college, university, or even after when you're still single. But it's not really an issue when people are married. It's very rare for married people to have friends of the
Unless they are
opposite
friends
sex.
of the relationship, like,
Yeah.
and usually it works if they're friends of the relationship, or they were friends before you got into the picture. I think it's easier if they were friends before you got into the picture.
Can we talk about that? Can we talk about this transition? Because people make it very awkward, okay? Because for me, having had friends who were guys and then they got married, there was like an awkwardness. Like people don't know how to transition that relationship into
being a friend of the
a
relationship.
friend of the relationship. How can people navigate that one?
I think it's important, it's very important that you, earlier on, you make sure that these people are meeting. These people are having relationship, like they have some form of relationship with each other. So if I have a male friend, it would be important if I ensure that they have a relationship with my husband, even allowing them to hang out on their own such that they figure out where they stand. I think if you want to carry that friendship and you want it to last and you really want to carry it into your marriage, allow them to have some form of relationship.
Yeah.
And I was saying it's easier when they were together before. Like
before the marriage.
Yes, because if they were but then if they were attracted to each other, they would have made it work before it got into the picture. You get it?
Oh, okay.
Unlike
okay.
if
I think
it's
people don't
think about that. Unlike if it's a friend that comes after you're together, that's a tricky one.
You don't know their intention? Is that what you're saying?
You don't know their intention, and you also don't know, like, what if my partner, imagine now, right? I meet a guy and we really vibe.
And you're like,
I'm
dude.
like, I'm introducing you to my new friend. Like, I don't know. I think it's more complicated. That's why it's important that once people are married, whichever friend, male or female, that comes,
becomes a friend of the relationship.
Becomes a friend of the relationship.
Okay.
So yeah, this is long, but I believe that we may not have done justice to the whole concept, but
let us know what you think, guys.
Yeah, let us know what you think, and
thank you for
tell us your stories. Tell us your stories. I would be interested to know if someone has a male best friend or a female best friend, and how they're navigating it, if they're in a relationship, if they're single. That would be interesting. Let's keep the comments coming. Let's keep the comment section interesting. And we'll definitely read out some of these stories and talk about them, actually. We could. And if you have any topics that you would want us to discuss,
please let us know.
Please let us know.
And don't forget to comment,
like,
and
share. Share with your friends.
Yeah.
You can even take snippets. Just share what you think might help a friend. Share with them, such that the community continues to grow.
And finally, can males and females just be friends?
Yes, with boundaries. Set the boundaries, set the tone of the relationship, and they can be friends.
All right. See you next time, guys. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Have a good one. Bye.